Welcome into Real Deal Sports Talk with me, KP. Welcome. It is Saturday morning. Thank you very much for tuning in and listening with us here on Real Deal Sports Talk. Big shout out to start out the show. We got another amazing donation for our GoFundMe efforts from a good friend of mine, Leif Thomas, and his family donated to this week, and just wanted to give them a shout out and say thank you very much for that donation. It is much appreciated. Let's get into some sports. We're going to do some headlines. We're going to talk about, Big Papi's Donuts. We'll talk about the NFL games coming up tomorrow. We'll talk about, I guess, the NFL game, you could call that, from Thursday night. We'll have the DC 3PO college football kickoff. And maybe we'll talk some baseball if we still have time. But this one, we're going to start the show off with this Big Papi is Donuts. This isn't calling the player crazy. This is not calling the man crazy. This is not a diss towards Big Papi of the Boston Red Sox in any way. Although he might want to encourage his team to do what his former team did and come back and win a series in straight games. We'll talk about that maybe here in a little bit. But Dunkin' Donuts, to honor Big Papi as he retires this year, as he quite possibly has one game left this year, did a mural for Big Papi out of donuts. You can check out the video online. It's on the Facebook page. We shared it out. It's from the aerial view. It's pretty impressive. I mean, it was basically a paint by numbers. They had all the different donuts, whether it had a hole in it or no hole in it, or, they didn't go over the fillings, I don't think. But all the different colored donuts they needed, number grid laid out on the ground, and then they came through, and they must have used, 6,000 donuts to make this mural. Probably more than that. It's probably like 16,000. But it was impressive. It was cool. I mean, he's now got the Lego thing. He got the phone that he broke. He's got this picture of him out of donuts. It's funny how we send these athletes off now. Instead of just cheering and having them take a trip around the stadium or the field or the court or bow in each direction or whatever, as they exit us and go off and do something else, and then we have memories. Now we present them with all these gifts and all these tokens and all this superficial stuff that's really kind of silly, in my opinion. It's fun to see. It's very creative. That's cool to see the creativity that goes into these kind of projects. But I don't know, man. It's getting a little ridiculous now that Dunkin' Donuts is making murals for Big Papi. Here's an NFL story. I read this one this week. The LA Rams want to take the no-fly zone away from the Denver Broncos. Now, my initial reaction was, what the hell are they thinking? This is ridiculous. It's not even fair or right to try and put yourselves in their league. But at the same time, for the last few years, I've thought, hey, this is a Rams team that they've got some talent on the defensive side of the ball. They can really fly around. They're very inconsistent, but they've got some players on the defensive side of the ball, especially up front. And when you have players up front, that allows your back end to do more things, i.e. what Denver's able to accomplish. They have a front seven or a front group that's really, bringing it, and that allows your back end to do a little more things, take a few more chances. When you're getting that pressure from up front, it really makes playing defense a lot of fun. So I went through it, and I said, okay, let's just compare the players. For the Broncos, I looked at Talib, Ward, Stewart, Harris, and Roby. Okay, that's basically a nickel package right there. I took 5 of them. When I went over to the Rams side, I took a few more players because at first I was looking at the names going, who are these guys? Oh yeah, I forgot some of the guys that were there in their back end have moved on to the Giants and various other teams. So I took Tremaine Johnson, Maurice Alexander, T.J. McDonald, E.J. Gaines, Troy Hill, and LaMarcus Joyner. That's basically a dime package right there. Okay? Depending on how they play it. So, I start looking at stats. Because on the name test alone, just based on those names, those of you who are listening, unless you're a die-hard NFL fan, you're going, huh? Well, Tremaine Johnson, we all know he got paid big. He got that $14-15 million a year contract from LA in the offseason that allowed Janoris Jenkins to leave town in free agency. So that's like the name right there on their defense. And you know what? We'll come back to that. Let's get into the DC3PO college football kickoff. Hey, Chris, how you doing, sir?
Doing well. How are you?
Good. Glad to have you on this morning.
Yeah.
So some of these games we're going to talk about today might be heavily affected by this hurricane situation down there, Hurricane Matthew. But we'll talk about them anyway. Especially, let's get to, we'll just get to them. I was looking at one that is jumping at my head, but we'll get to these games. Let's talk about the FSU versus Miami game. FSU, they're not really playing with a lot of motivation to me right now, and Miami's kind of been building, I think, this season. And this rivalry, it's a very physical rivalry. It's a very heated rivalry. How does DC3PO see this playing out?
Well, this game's on ABC at 8 o'clock Eastern. Miami's put up a fight against Florida State the last 2 years, but has yet to win in this rivalry since Jimbo Fisher took over in 2010. So it's a decade plus of struggles for Miami, who's not appeared in the ACC title game since joining the conference in 2004, and they haven't notched a top 10 finish in that time, whereas Florida State has kind of been what Miami used to be as it relates to that.
Right.
So you kind of wonder, Mark Richt, like we've talked about in the previous weeks, about there's an attitude that seems to be coming out of Miami, and I think the difference kind of comes down to Miami's defense being able to keep up that high level of play. Make no mistake, the Seminoles are dangerous on offense. So it's kind of like, will the Hurricanes be able to move the ball against a Florida State defense that really hasn't been too consistent? I think if the Noles get that kind of production that they, South Florida with Dalvin Cook the past 2 weeks, as a runner and receiver, it kind of comes down to if FSU wins, it's got to be because it's a big game from Cook, and against Miami that's starting 3 freshman linebackers. So I like Florida State in this game. DC3PO has got Miami 28-27 with Miami a 54.6 win probability.
Well, hey, at least it sounds like it's predicted to be a good one. We'll get a good one out of that.
Yeah, it should, definitely. Well, Ben Kyle's good quarterback. I think he's benefiting from Mark Richt.
Good. Here's another one that's going to be good. I think these teams, they're not really evenly matched in my opinion, but the Red River rivalry, say that 5 times fast. Texas and OU. DC3PO, what you got for us?
Well, this game, noon Eastern on Fox Sports 1. There's no possible way to enter this rivalry game being sure of the result. I mean, this game has gone crazy so many times that, 3 years ago, Oklahoma was heavily favored but lost to the Longhorns 36-20 in Mac Brown's last season. 2 years ago, heavily favored Oklahoma won 31-26 despite getting outgained by 250 yards. And last year, heavily favored Oklahoma lost 24-17. It seemed like another turning point game for Charlie Strong. And it's funny because that seems to be the key word for Charlie Strong every year, turning point. So I think that, last year the Longhorns got that rivalry win. Then they got shut out by Iowa State a couple weeks later. The Sooners bounced back last week. And I think it's just kind of the same thing, right? I mean,
yep.
You've got, Baker Mayfield, Samaje Perine, Joe Mixon against a Longhorn defense that's kind of reeling right now. And after 2-2 starts, both teams are in dire need of a rivalry win. And I think with all the chaos surrounding Charlie Strong, time can be running out for him if they can't get it done. And I don't know if they can. I think there's just too much. And Oklahoma, DC3PO agrees. Oklahoma 36, Texas 24 with a 77.4% win probability.
I definitely agree. I think Texas is a little outmatched. They don't have as many athletes as Oklahoma does. This one I do see going Oklahoma's way as well. Now this next game here, I'm not sure the game status. I haven't heard anything officially, but there's been a few rumors throughout the week about maybe moving the game or whatever. The LSU-Florida game. No Fournette. I think LSU is going to win their second in a row after the Les Miles fire. How do you see it going?
Well, I mean, they got to figure out how they're playing that game because it's been canceled.
Oh, it has officially been canceled.
Yeah, it was canceled, and there's some conspiracy things going on that Florida doesn't want to play this game, and the reason why they waited so long to make the decision is that LSU was ready on Monday and was trying to get Florida to make alternate plans because everybody in the media was talking about this hurricane.
Right.
And they waited till Thursday. The SEC commissioner, Sankey, he's new. He seems spineless in this entire situation. I mean, Florida's entire defensive line's hurt. They've got other players hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Where when you look at the irony of the thing is that all the other games, college football games that were scheduled in Florida, all got moved to Sunday or Monday or rescheduled. Not to put any kind of light to the hurricane situation itself, but Gainesville really didn't get anything.
Right.
In terms of rain. They could actually play today from the weather reports out there. But there's a date on November 19th where both Florida and LSU play, like South Alabama and Presbyterian or whatever. So the rumors is that the SEC will pay off those schools so that LSU and Florida can play November 19th. But there isn't any word that's come down yet as to what they're going to do. It's the yearly SEC meeting where all the ADs and presidents are meeting tomorrow and Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe something will come out of it. Who knows?
Wow.
But there's something odd with Florida because they're the ones who refused to move it to a neutral site, refused to move it to Baton Rouge, refused to move it anywhere or change the date or anything else. They just said, we're not playing the game.
Yeah, it's very suspicious. Are they scared? Do they want to try and, like you said, get their players healthy and push that game on the 19th? We'll have to see how that plays out. That's an interesting one. I hadn't heard that it was officially canceled yet. So, that's got me thinking, what's their motivation there?
Yeah, it's odd.
All right, well, let's move to a different SEC game then. We'll move to Alabama versus Arkansas. And to me, it seems like Arkansas either plays them real tough or they get blown out. Can Arkansas play this Alabama team tough?
Well, Arkansas hasn't beaten Nick Saban since 2002 when he was the head coach at LSU. 5 national championships ago. Back-to-back 52-0 losses. The Razorbacks have at